We need things outside our comfort zone. We need things to challenge, or else we get complacent. To me, I just want to win the CrossFit Games, and that was it. That's who I was, and that's how I've lived even ever since. I just have to have something to kind of look forward to or point to. Growing up, I'm one of 32 first cousins on my mom's side alone, 25 are boys, and so everything was a competition, right? When I was a kid, I thought they were trying to figure out which one of us was the most dominant cousin, but now having kids, I realized they were just trying to tire us out. You know, hey, run around the pond, who's the fastest, who can swim, you know, whatever. But they also created a little bit of something in all of us that is a little bit of a problem now. You know, we're still all hyper competitive. Having really good youth sports coaches, bad youth sport coaches that also shaped, you know, kind of my mentality. My high school baseball coach, my last 2 years, his big thing was mental toughness. Like, we ran more than the track team. No point in running that much, but we did. And so I think just a culmination of all those things has kind of just made me a little bit of a, you know, screw loose somewhere. Was getting my degree in exercise science. I had a professor that was the head strength and conditioning coach. He was like, hey, you're a firefighter and you obviously like working out. You should check out CrossFit. So kind of the rest is history, as they say. The day after the CrossFit Games, there was just relief. First one was like, oh, heck yeah, this is awesome. And then it was like, all right, what's next year? And it was already thinking about next year. There was no time, no downtime. It's in my nature, it's who I am. I don't know if it was cultivated at a young age. I don't know if it was born into me. I don't know, but it's where we are. Having so many different things to train for in CrossFit, you know, gymnastics, weightlifting, powerlifting, running, biking, rowing, swimming. You know, you can get good at one thing, but something else starts to fade. There's so much to get good at, and you're always gonna be working on something, and then also the competitive side of it for me.
We were literally just trying to get people to say that they could beat Rich, and you could look in their eyes and see that they didn't even believe it, right? He was literally a game changer in just the simple things that he would do. Transitioning off of movements, the way that he would move through a workout, the way that he would strategize, and really a competitive flair that he brought. Rich was arguably the first person who stepped out onto the field, was looking left, was looking right, was making sure that he was ahead of his competition, and the dude just wanted to win. He changed the game in a million ways.
It's hard to nail down one thing that, you know, separates me or even the top guys now. For me, I think obviously genetics, you have to have it. I'd say a little bit of the work ethic for sure. You know, like I was gonna try to outwork any and everybody. And then I think also the mental side of it and just competitiveness and needing that competition. And then I think my faith, being able to not let whatever I was doing define me. I still hate losing, still hated losing even after kind of, you know, having that reconnection to my faith. But I could compete from a different level knowing that my identity wasn't wrapped up in the outcome, right? So for me, I could compete from a way different place doing that. I needed a new kind of thing to chase and a new, you know, there's no real expectations of winning, but still want to do well. And in 2017, I tore my meniscus. So riding on the road kind of became running for me, you know, just I didn't have to do all the pounding on the road and could get a long cardio session in. So I'd met a buddy that I hunt with a lot out west, and he lives in Leadville. And so he was like, you should do the Leadville 100 mountain bike race. And so the last 2 summers I've done that. And it was something different. Over the past 15 years, I'd trained for the CrossFit Games every summer, and that was just, you know, it. And so it was kind of fun to have a different goal, a different target. All right, so you've got Idaho elk. No, this is Utah elk. This is from hunt we did last fall. This is just ground. Try to keep the ground separate from everything else. It's probably what gets used, obviously, the most. You also have the kids' favorite, which we'll do. You have elk heart right here. That'll be usually fajitas, something like that. We've done a lot of that with the kids. And as we move down, you kind of go, you got deer here.
This was from some does that we killed. We cleaned up some does around here last year. There's also some more ground elk in here at the very bottom. We also have some stuff.
So I grew up in a hunting family. I had a buddy that was like, hey, you should come out and try turkey hunting. And I'm like, all right, cool. You know, whitetails just doesn't sound fun to me, just sitting up in a tree waiting. And turkey hunting was a blast. And kind of fell in love with that. And then also I had somebody that said, well, if you like turkey hunting, you should come try elk hunting. And so that was kind of my first introduction to it. And I think we went to Heron, Montana. And man, we chased elk for 7 days. Didn't see one, didn't hear one, but I was hooked. I think it's equal parts competition and equal parts filling the freezer. When people say sport, I don't think of it as sport per se. I think of it as competition. I think of it as the original competition. There's something about the go and try to either outmaneuver, outthink, outwork, whatever it is. And then filling the freezer is, you know, that's the awesome part. So I know that freezer out there, that all that meat is free range. I just feel better, right? Especially if it's something that I've killed. I'm like, man, I worked and paid a lot of money for this. There's a whole lot more pride and ownership, I guess, in it. There's just way more connection to it. I think nutrition is the base of all that we do, right? It's fuel, one, but it also is where we get our nutrients. It's what builds health within our joints. It's what builds health within our organs. And I mean, really, without it, we're dead. When I was younger and competing and training like crazy, I wasn't necessarily worried about the quality per se. And then now it's like quality, macro a little bit, but more, all right, hey, let's rein in what's going in and be smart about that. I would say the gold standard would be that meat that's out in the freezer or over there in the freezer. That is like lean meat. It's free range, completely wild game. And then from there is humane and quality agricultural practices. Me and my best friend growing up, he lives a mile from here. We were both firefighters back 15 years ago, 16 years ago, and on his off days, he raised cattle. So I'm like, hey, we've got this property, we're about having kids, like, let's give them some chores, let's do some cattle. I think in the process of all that, I read Stephen Rinella's American Buffalo book, and I was like, oh, sweet. Cows are cool, but bison would be better. And he was like, cool, but I don't know anything about them. I'm like, nah, me either. And so that's basically how the farm started. I was reading an article, some guy was saying how bison, when they're out west, instead of running away from a storm, they head into the storm, where cows traditionally try to get out of it. That's kind of where into the storm came from, and we've kind of adapted it, I guess, into our motto for the farm, and it's been cool to see people kind of take that on and wear that as a badge of honor. You know, bison meat has some of the best macro numbers out there. Obviously, these Highland cows do too, almost identical, but those are just golden doodles with horns. Those are my wife's that will never, you know, they'll never be processed. We know what goes into these animals, and so we know that what we're giving or selling as a product is good, and other families can have opportunities to have that meat and have access to that. So it's cool, it's special, and that the kids have a tie to that just makes it even better.
Oh yeah, they do like the shade over there, don't they?
Cluster used to love that.
When I was competing, the only way I would define success was to win the CrossFit Games. That was literally the only way. The 2 years that I got second, those were not success. They were not fun. Leadville, you know, the success was to get the big belt buckle, and I did that twice. If we're to look at what success is currently, it'd be to be a good husband and a father, to teach my kids that what I do isn't necessarily expected of them, but, you know, I want to see them do hard things and, you know, show the importance of working together. I want to make sure that my kids, they find what makes them happy. For me, I always have to have something to kind of aim at, something to chase after, not necessarily a goals-oriented person. I don't need a 3-month goal or a 6-month goal. And so that's kind of our mentality of like, we're not going to seek out trouble, but like this 24-hour mountain bike race or Leadville or whatever it is that we're doing, I just have to have something to kind of look forward to or point to.
It's funny, we'll talk about the Rich Froning effect. And that used to just be in reference to athletes who would come and train with him. And all of a sudden, like, wow, If you get invited to be on Rich Froning's team, you're gonna win the CrossFit Games. If you get invited to come and train at Mayhem, you're going to elevate your game substantially just from being around him. There's something about being in his orbit that makes people want to elevate their game. He's created a fantastic team around himself, and I think that seed is kind of spread to all of those people as well. I don't know what the magic is, but it's there.